we have a nice mixture of images. So we'll have Enman and Juergen are going to show us the treats from Ambon. Those of you, if you have not been to Ambon, it's really a fabulous place. A few years ago, a lot of the people from undersea divers went there. And I've been there 3 times, and you never get tired of it. It's macro city. I mean, there is a lot of good wide angle in places, but wow, the creatures are fabulous. And then Jessica Pierce will be here. She'll be next and showing us about ways to use depth of field to make an image stand out or make part of an image stand out. And then I'll be doing a thing on Raja at the end. So, 1 second here. If I can do this and then share that. Okay. So this is our lineup for the next couple of months. And so I know we talked about this the last meeting. So next meeting in July is cephalopod night. So if you have any cephalopod pictures, squid, octopus, cuttlefish, it could be local or it could be from some trip that you were on. So if you would like to present and let me know. Actually, you could get on the chat line here and just say that you would like to, and then I will contact you. So the way it will work is the way it has with other theme nights that we've had, that you'll send me the pictures, I'll put them all on one slideshow and then just run it. You can advance them and all and talk about them, but I will have them all together at once because there'll be several people and it just makes things go a little smoother. So, I guess we're already a little bit later, so I'm going to start right now with Enman and Chua. Enman, would you like to do your video first? I assume you shot video. Yeah? Okay. How do you have it worked out with the two of you?
We have a presentation and we also have 2 short videos. So maybe we can start with the videos first.
Okay.
You want to start over here?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll make you.
Well, actually, yeah, we do the presentation because we have a couple of slides on the location and some details on the island and stuff.
Okay.
Share.
I'll share the screen.
Okay.
Which
Share,
audio?
yeah.
Share screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Remove how you remove it.
Now, is there something that has to be done too? I remember Ellen in the past, you mentioned that with video, does any setting have to be different?
Yes, when before you hit share, you need to click the checkbox that says that you're going to be showing video.
Oh, up next video, I see that. Yes. We're gonna.
Share.
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
Sure. All right, here we go. So a small trip report from Ambon, and we've been there last Christmas holidays. Title is 10 days diving in Twilight Zone, and you'll see why that is in a moment. Just we didn't know there was a trip to Ambon, so this is just the map to show where Ambon is. So we're in the middle here, surrounded by Raja, Manado, Bali, so all the great hotspots. The island itself is a small island. You can get there directly via flights from Jakarta or Surabaya, and then it's a very short car ride to the resort from the airport. So the airport is here and the resort is right next to it. It's like a 10-minute ride. The main reason, as Andy already mentioned, is macro photography and muck diving. But we found out when we were there that they also run liveaboards to Bandar from Ambon. So it's also people who do the liveaboard also sometimes stop there for a couple of days to do muck diving, and then you do the Bandar trip. And the main reason people go there, it's not the only reason, but it's there's a chance to see the psychedelic frogfish. And we didn't see it, but here is a picture from the resort website. That's what it looks like.
That's what we should have seen.
That's what we wanted to see. The last one I think they've seen was a couple of months before we got there. So they are around, but it's not common that you see them.
Means you have to go back.
Yeah, that's right. So a couple of details about the resort. So they have
There's
villas.
only one resort.
There's one resort, yeah.
the whole
Villas and rooms. There's a separate camera room with AC, which is nice. They didn't have enough guests when we were there, even though it was supposed to be high season. But they served, if there's a lot of people, they served buffet style, but we just got plates. The beach itself is a small beach. It's not that great for snorkeling, so it's really more a diving destination. The ratio is typically 4 divers per guide. And the guides do rotate, which is also something unique there. I think typically we get one guide that stays with us for the whole trip. Their guides rotate throughout the week. Dive sites are really close. They're a couple minutes by boat. Typically there's 4 dives a day, including a night dive. Water temperature is actually very, very warm, but I think we were wearing our long 3 mil because you never know if there's a stinging stuff in there, and some garbage as well.
A lot of garbage.
Yeah. Most sites are just sand and rubble, some muck sites, few reefs, but the viz wasn't that great. But we always had at least 20 feet of viz, sometimes more. But it's not that great for muck diving or for macro photography. It's not that big of an issue. And we didn't expect that, but there is a jetty very close to the dive resort that has very, very nice wide angle scenes. There are, if you do day trips outside of the bay, there is a couple of small islands and some caves that you can dive to. Those are nice wide angle trips. We didn't do that on this.
I think we were just so happy with the same dive site that I think we went back like every day to the same dive site.
There were a couple, yeah, we definitely
Same
repeated
dives.
a lot of dive sites. A couple of pictures from the resort. At the bottom is the beach. So it was quite windy when we were there, so we were loading and unloading via the beach. They have a small jetty as well. A big changing area where you can hang everything. Just for people who are interested, Edmund took videos with an compact Panasonic LX10 with video lights, with some macro wide-angle wet lenses. And I'm shooting a D500, and I brought my 60 macro, my 105mm macro, the wide-angle lens, a lot of macro lenses, 2 strobes, and the focus light. And this is the focus light. I also use it for some creative stuff. It has kind of a red, blue, purple features, so you can switch colors. And then Edmund edited her videos in Filmora, and I use Lightroom and Photoshop mostly. So this was our first dive. We just got there, I think early afternoon, and we're just setting everything up, putting our luggage in the rooms, and the resort owner said, "Well, why don't you join us on the next dive?" And we said,
It was a night dive. Yeah.
it was a night dive.
Our first dive was a night dive.
He said, "Oh, no worries, no need to do a check dive. It's actually a check dive because it's a very shallow, very calm, sheltered dive spot." So we decided, yeah, let's just hop in and see what we get. And this was one of the very first pictures, 2 lionfish fighting each other. We also, same dive, we had a hairy frogfish, and I like this a lot because sometimes you don't see the lure very well. I like this a lot because you can see that. And we also got a robust ghost pipefish. That was the same very first night dive. And I have a separate couple slides later on the ghost pipefish, which is one of our favorite fish to see. This was on a different day. An ornate ghost pipefish, an orange one. Harlequin shrimp And one thing also is you never see an animal just once. There is always opportunity. Sometimes you see them alone, sometimes in pairs, sometimes you can see them carrying their starfish meal. So if any of the creatures is in an awkward spot, or you just move on and you'll get another one that you can get a very nice photo like I got here. There's a lot of fire urchins with a lot of, this is a small crab on a fire urchin. Flamboyant cuttlefish, and
Every dive, every
we saw
dive.
them a lot.
Yeah, every dive.
Usually I like the kind of to get the whole animal in, but when you see them so often, you start to experiment, and then I got this by accident, almost kind of a close-up that turned out really nice. The focus is on the eye. You can still tell it's a flamboyant cuttlefish. Octopus, also a lot of octopus. This case, this is the same octopus photographed a few minutes apart. And it's just crazy how much they change shape, texture, color within the same couple of minutes. And we spent quite a lot of time with this one. I really like the kind of the contrast between the two pictures. It's almost like it's a completely different day, different animal, but it's the same animal within a couple of minutes. And then another octopus. Again, once you spend so much time with them, you start to play around with the angles, and with in this case, it's a close-up of an eye. And so far, all these pictures have been taken at the same dive site, which is Twilight Zone, a dive site that we have gone back to many times on our trip. And every time we go back, we see new things. We get new angles, new motives. Really nice. So this is the wide-angle site that I mentioned. There's a jetty very close by, and we had these cornet fish that we actually got very close to them. Richard got us this very nice photo. Very nice soft corals growing on those pillars. Really colorful. Trumpet fish, again, some nice close-up shots of a trumpet fish, and frogfish. So again, a lot of dives. We saw a lot of different frogfish. In this case, it's a black frogfish, and that was a little bit difficult to take because there is almost no contrast, and it's very difficult to see any details. So there's a little bit of editing where I kind of brighten the frogfish. Here it's nice because it's against the background. You can see kind of the shape. On the right side, this is the same frogfish on the same dive site on a different day. But you can see it's kind of hidden in that black sponge, and it's even more difficult to identify, but you can kind of see here is the frogfish with the eye here. And it's very well camouflaged. So if the dive guy doesn't point it out, it's almost impossible to see them. We also saw some rare and difficult to capture subjects. So this was on my bucket list for a very long time. It's a bryozoan goby, kind of a white goby with white spots, and it lives in these bryozoans, the white bryozoans. And we spend a lot of time. There's a lot of bryozoans around. There's a lot of bryozoan gobies around, but I haven't found one that actually looks at me. So the moment you get close, they kind of start hiding, and there's a lot of hiding spots for them. So this is the only one picture where you can actually see the fin there. You can see it's there, and I got a picture of it, but it's definitely something I want to go back and try again. Another one, this is a shrimp goby. I have in mind to get a picture of a shrimp goby with the shrimp next to it. And I've also tried many times, and I haven't really gotten a shrimp goby with the shrimp. The shrimp, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's blurry, sometimes I get the shrimp, but then the goby is blurry. So I have to play around with the settings, and you have to get the right opportunity as well. And then something that also a lot of people are looking for is the Ranopias. This is a very nice purple one. We saw one on our trip. I think other dive groups on our trip saw other ones. This is our only one. And it was actually relatively deep. So this one was probably around 100 feet. So we just did a very quick dip down, get a couple of pictures, and then came back up to not spend too much time and too much air on that one subject. But we did get a nice picture. But definitely there's room for improvement again to get nice Ranopias pictures. Shrimps and crabs, a lot of shrimps and a lot of crabs. This is a marbled shrimp on the left side, emperor shrimp on the right. And here I use the snoot actually quite a lot to highlight the subject. A lot of fire urchins. This one with very nice zebra crab. But again, snooted, tiger shrimp, bumblebee shrimp, which is I think the first bumblebee shrimp that I've seen on any trip. Very nice hairy squat lobster. So like the red striped eyes that you can see very well here. And then also something we haven't seen very often, cryptic sponge shrimp. And we saw two different types of kind of a beige one and the black one.
And the red one.
And the red one as well, yeah. So we'll have them on the video. And they are actually very difficult to light because they blend so well into the sponge. So what I did here is I just put my strobe at a very kind of flat angle to get a lot of contrast, and you can actually see the outline and the legs of that sponge shrimp. This one was a little bit easier because of the white spots. Coleman shrimp on fire urchins. Again, if the Coleman shrimp was kind of hiding underneath the fire urchin, you can just move on to the next fire urchin and find another pair of Coleman shrimp. So very easy to get good photos, because if one doesn't cooperate, you just move on to the next one. Then because we spent so much time, we also had a little bit of time to start getting creative. So this is more of a hit and miss strategy, where you try a lot of shots and then maybe some will turn out, most of them didn't. What I tried here is use my video light that where I can change it to blue or purple color to light up the background, and then use the snoot to light up the subject. And if the subject is isolated, like this decorated crab, probably decorated crab that is shown here, it's actually very easy, because I can point the snoot at the decorated crab, get a nice color, and then the background is all blue. And the setting, I put the settings here as well in case people are interested. But you can see here I have a very long exposure to get the blue background kind of to show up a little bit more, because it's not very bright, the light itself. And here's the same strategy with a frogfish. So it was a small frogfish. Again, I had the snoot on the frogfish, and the scene itself lit up with that blue video light to get very nice color contrast between the subject and the background. And again, a little bit more snoot. So here, this yellow boxfish highlighted with the snoot, and this cuttlefish again with the snoot, but a wider snoot, where I only kind of highlight the face and get a very nice background, black background. This one is a clingfish. Put it under the creative category. I don't know exactly what happened here. This is an accidental kind of capture. I was taking the photo of the clingfish, and then I think it must have been a video light or someone else's strobes that kind of created a very nice background here. Not intended. So this is kind of a lucky, happy accident. And then ghost pipefish. A lot of ghost. So the joke was when dive guides spend a lot of days there, they start to ask you, okay, what do you want to see on your next dive? And they start to tailor what you haven't seen and what you want to see. And they say, oh, I want to see another ghost pipefish. And then they ask you, okay, what color? And the reason is because we find them in all kinds of colors over there. So on the left side is the robust ghost pipefish, and ornate ghost pipefish. We saw the white one. This is our first white one that we saw, white and red. We also saw I think that's the more common orange and black one. And they're actually I find them very difficult to photograph. Even though they're in focus, sometimes it looks like they are blurry just based on the patterns on their scales, on their skin. They still look kind of blurry, but this is, when you zoom in, this is the eye's texture. And then they also blend in very well with their crinoid they live in, so it's sometimes also difficult to separate them from the background. But when you get a shot like this, I'm really excited and really happy about that. Here's a yellow one. This is the first time I've seen a yellow one, and I like this photo a lot because first you see the big one, then you start to see the smaller one. The smaller one is the male, and they live in pairs, and then you see the cardinals, and then you actually notice how small they are relative to the cardinals. So they actually are no more than a couple inches in size. And again, the yellow crinoid in the background, that is their home. And probably one of my favorite, also the first one I've ever seen, a delicate ghost pipefish. This was although within rocks and rubble. The reason it stands out so well is because I used the snoot to just highlight the fish itself to get good separation from the background. Overall, I think I've never had so many great opportunities for photos, and overall very, very happy with the dive location, the resort, the guides. Everything was very well organized. And of course, the creatures are amazing. And there's a lot of places we haven't been to, like kind of the caves outside of the bay and some other dive sites that we haven't had a chance to go to. So it's definitely a location we'll definitely go back and visit again. And so now Ambon has 2 videos to show.
Great images, by the way.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Start with the front.
The prawn, yeah. It's like a video, yeah.
Very nice. Wow, very, very nice. Boy, the stills were fabulous, but the motion that you get from video is priceless. You know, because all those little critters, the shrimp that we all see, those of us that shoot stills, you see them, you shoot, and you take a split-second shot of it, but it doesn't show that kind of motion. That was fabulous. Great stuff. Very nice. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
How'd you get 3 eels at one time? That's what I want to know.
There was actually one spot where there were 5.
But a different,
my
yeah,
God.
different group. They have a picture. There's one guy who came up with a picture with 5 eels in the same hole.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
that same dive site
Mm.
that has got a twilight zone, tons and tons of eels,
Yeah.
and they look hilarious.
Yeah.
You can't tell whether they're smiling or they are like making fun of
I
you.
think also 3 or 4 different eels. With a lot of ribbon eels. We haven't put a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
And the marine life in Ambon is outstanding. And it's funny that as you mentioned, you know, there's a lot of trash in the water.
Mhm.
And on our trip, there were a couple of people that were not photographers, so that they're the only ones that complained about the garbage in the water. Everybody
Yeah.
else willing to put up with anything because the amount of exotic marine life was just endless. So
Yeah.
you didn't
Yeah.
care what you were diving in. So
Also, the garbage also depends on the tide and the current because sometimes it was very clean, very clear, and then on other days you had to dive through a lot of kind of stuff. But it was definitely, I think, better for divers than for snorkelers or swimmers.
oh yeah. And the
also
visibility
very-
really varies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first time I went there, it was all green water because I went there at the wrong time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then the other times the visibility was good. It was
Mhm.
real good.
Yeah. It's
I
also a really
have a
easy place to
question.
get to. Ambon. Sorry.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I have a
It was very,
question.
said was very easy to get to. Because in other places you have to get ferries and kind of smaller local flights, but this one is straight. You can get a what did we fly?
Garuda.
Garuda straight from Jakarta, so great with luggage and everything.
Then it's like 10 minutes from the airport. So it's so much easier than like we're trying to go to the Philippines this year, and we have to fly there, then take a long car ride for like 3 hours, and then take a ferry for like 9 hours. So it's like, oh, this is like so easy. Ambon is great. Yeah.
Well, good.
I wanted to ask you about in the first video, it looked like the current was pretty strong. So did that present a problem for the still photography in terms of anchoring yourself or using the snoot?
So overall, we didn't actually find the current to be too strong. I think there was only once where we went on a small reef that had a little bit of current, but overall, all the dive sites are pretty sheltered, and yeah, it may look like this in the video, but we didn't have a lot of current at all, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very easy diving, not too deep. I think it was between 20 and 60 feet. So yeah.
Yeah, a dive is like 1.5 hours until you almost run out of air. Yeah.
Oh, you had great stuff. Great images. Jessica, what do you think?
Hi.
So Jessica, first time presenting here, and just as I mentioned, she was going to talk about how we can best utilize, or a different way to utilize depth of field. So, Jessica, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, let's see if I can get
So you
this
get the
sharing.
share. Boom. Good. Excellent.
Okay. All right, are you guys seeing the presentation on your end?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, great. I do have videos in it. Did she say I have to like click something or?
Are you starting off with the videos, or?
It's towards the end of the presentation.
So you need to stop the share and then start it again. But before you hit share, make sure you check the checkbox that says that you have video.
Do I need to do that each time I present? Because I think I did
Yeah.
it previously. Okay, I think I did it previously, so I should be good then.
No, you do have to do it each time, I think.
Oh, you do? Okay, all right, here we go. I'm gonna stop the share. And before I share,
So hit the share button, and then on that screen, you want to select the thing that says optimize for video.
But that's if you were going to show the video right now, right? I thought that didn't Jessica, you say you were going to show the video at the end?
It is part of like the presentation, so
If you do it for the whole thing, then it'll be there.
okay, perfect. I do see it. And all right, so you guys seeing the presentation now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll start by
But
telling
you're not in presentation.
Oh, you don't
mode.
see it?
Oh, we see, but it's
You see it, but it's got you're sharing your whole screen and you've got it in presentation mode. So if you're going to use presentation mode, you have to select the screen which is showing the slideshow, not your entire display.
Okay. Let me see.
You need to stop, yeah. So when you hit share, you have a bunch of choices of what you want to share. And you'll want to share the screen, which is just the slideshow, not
Okay.
your entire screen.
Okay.
Do you want to use presentation mode?
Not necessarily. Like I want to be able to read my notes, but obviously I don't want you guys to
Then you
see
do
them.
want to use presentation mode. So under the application windows, you should be able to find the one that is just your slideshow.
Okay.
Well, you have to have started the slideshow beforehand.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. Here we go.
Now that's it.
All right. It goes right to full screen, so I can't see my notes, but I can kind of wing it, I guess.
So when you start the slideshow, you can say use presenter mode.
Okay. Let's see. Are you guys seeing the presentation now?
No.
No.
Oh, huh.
So
When
you
I-
need to start the slideshow and say use presenter mode. Then you need to do a share
Zoom.
in Zoom. Click the checkbox for optimized video and then select the screen that's showing the slides.
Okay, so when I hit the slideshow button, it goes like straight to the full screen slideshow.
So
So
I believe that slideshow button was a pull down.
yeah, and when I do the pull down, you guys say you're not seeing the slideshow.
No, wait, hang on. No, you have to start the slideshow first.
So click here.
Well, we can't see what you're doing. So where it says slideshow, use the pull down to select slideshow in presenter mode. You should be able to
Presenter
see.
view.
I'm sorry.
Presenter view.
Yes.
Okay.
So now you see that. Then you go to Zoom and do the share.
Yeah.
And then make sure the optimized video is checked. And then
Yep.
don't click on the whole screen. Just click on the one screen that's got your slideshow that you want us to see.
Okay. So are you guys seeing my slideshow now?
We're seeing
That
something.
Yeah.
It says
Oh yeah,
double
it
click.
says it's your screen sharing is paused now. Huh.
what we're seeing is, it says double click to enter full screen mode. So
I'm
that's
gonna,
what's-
because it paused it, I'm just gonna stop the share one more time. I think what I'll do, just to like not take up time, is
don't worry about it. It's you feel like you're in the hot spot there.
Yeah.
So relax. It'll all work out.
Well,
Okay. Now, slideshow.
all right, so you guys are seeing it now, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
I'm just gonna not have my presenter notes. That's fine. So a little bit about me. I also use the Nikon D500. I'll be talking about macro today, and I use the 105 and the 60mm lens. I also have retro strobes. And sometimes I use the backscatter mini flash as well. I've been diving about 12 years. I've done about almost 750 dives. Been shooting with the Nikon. I think I got it in like 2017, so for a while now. Oh, now it's not. Oh, wait, no, it's not letting me go to the next one. Oh no. Hold on 1 second. Huh. Hmm.
In the image and hit the space bar.
There we go. Okay, I don't know what I did differently, but it let me go to the next one that time. So, what I wanted to focus on is it's a simple concept, although it has challenges, but just taking pictures with a shallow depth of field. This can be really helpful when you have like a busy background that's either taking away from your subject, or just an ugly background or boring background. It can really help separate your subject from the background. The image here was actually taken at the Blue Heron Bridge when I was visiting Lana. And this was a seahorse that was just kind of in a sandy, mucky area. And I used the shallow depth of field to kind of blur the ugly background that wasn't really adding anything to the photo and make the seahorse stand out. This one are some shrimps that are like on a coral that again is really busy, but when I opened up my aperture, the busy background turned into a really nice like bokeh effect that I liked. These are some more examples. On the left, I really liked how there was this orange coral in the background, and the contrasting color of the blue fish in front. The coral wasn't particularly pretty by itself, but with it blurred a little bit, it just added a really nice color contrast. In the middle is a subject in the sand. Sand is not particularly beautiful. Also, a lot of the creatures that hang out in the sand tend to blend in. So when you open up your aperture, the subject will stand out from the sand, and sand can often also cause a really nice bokeh effect that I like. On the right, I actually created my own bokeh by putting like steel wool in the background. So those bubbles you're seeing in the water behind the fish, it's just kind of me using a creative technique to create layers and interest, and a unique photo. This photo was also taken at the Blue Heron Bridge, just kind of sand in the background that really wasn't adding anything to the photo. So for this portrait, I opened up the aperture to make the fish stand out. Here's a ribbon eel. The background was like really busy, not pretty. I really wanted the focus to be on the ribbon eel, so I opened up the aperture to really make it pop. These little guys, I just love them. They're tiny, tiny little fish. I don't know, maybe the size of like a pea. And they really move erratically, so it's really hard to take photos of them. And that's one thing I've learned with open aperture is to take lots and lots of photos. You're going to miss more because there'll be a lot more photos where the eye's not in focus. So I take lots and lots of photos to make sure that one of them is in focus. And here's a frogfish, just again, not an interesting background. So just made a nice soft blurry background to make the frogfish stand out. I know a lot of people really love these nudies, the Shaun the Sheep nudies. With this one, you actually don't need to have your aperture as open because it's so small. You're so close to the subject that you get a lot more naturally blurring of the background when you're that close. So opening your aperture is one way to blur the background, but also just getting closer to your subject, you'll also get some of that effect.
So when you talk about opening the aperture, what can you say what kind of numbers you're talking about?
Yeah, hopefully they come up like because they're not just in my notes, but in a few photos I'll have examples of like different apertures, so you can kind of get a feel for that. Fish like this goby here can be challenging with the open aperture because fish, and same with the shrimp, their eyes are like on a different focus plane when they stick out. So I have noticed that it's harder to get their eyes in focus when you have a super thin depth of field. So I will often take some, close the aperture a little bit more, take some, then open it back up. So I just have more to choose from, and I make sure I have a photo with the eyes in focus. I also really like the effect for fish portraits. These are just fish among the reef, and reef can just be busy and distract from the subject. So opening aperture can help just totally frame the subject and put all the focus on them. Another thing I really try to do is look for pretty colored backgrounds. I really like blurring a pretty color background and having that naturally. I'll do it with filter lights as well, but both these photos, that was just the color in the background that created that effect. Sorry, it's not letting me go to the next slide now. I'm not sure why.
Make sure your cursor is on the photo, you know, on the slide.
Somehow I have this little pencil now that I didn't want. There we go. Another just pretty colored background. And sometimes what I'll do is find a pretty colored background and just wait in front of it and wait for a subject to come in front of the pretty background. So that's another thing to think about. It's not just the subject, but the background, and just sit tight in front of a pretty background and see what comes in. And I often do that with pretty colors. Okay, so this is one where you'll see some of the settings. On the left here, you can see the fish kind of just blends in. It doesn't fill the frame. It doesn't stand out. I mean, yeah, it's a nice photo. It's in focus. And these are like straight from my process too. So then what I do is inch closer. Again, like we talked about before, getting closer will blur the background naturally. So in these two photos, the one on the left, the f-stop is 7.1, and on the right it's 5.6. So just a little bit of difference, but also the moving closer is what made such a difference in the two photos. And you'll see on the right, the photo is also brighter. That's another thing to consider, is as you move closer and open your aperture, you're going to get a lot more light on your subject. So I often have my ISO at the lowest setting. And as well as like the retro strobes are pretty powerful. So I have those clicked like way down, almost, it's often all the way down. But you'll have to, you know, play with the power on your strobes when you get really close. And just a harlequin shrimp, not a pretty background. I think it's on Sea Star or something. These are tricky because their eyes do stick out. So I take lots and lots of photos of them when I use this technique with them. I put my settings on this one, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, on the left, was my first photo. I was nervous about scaring the eel in the sand. So I took that picture, but then I was able to get closer. And once I was able to get closer, I opened the aperture a couple clicks, and it just, again, filled the frame more, really pretty bokeh, and the subject stood out more. And you can also see it's lit better because I'm closer. Garden eels, as you guys all know, if you've seen these on a dive, they can be really, really skittish. The first photo on the left, I'm further away, and my aperture isn't as open. On the photo on the right, I'm closer, and my aperture is open more. Here we go, get the settings there. So again, not huge differences, but that's usually my process. I'll usually start around like f8 or so, and then start like opening it up and playing with it. So on the left, I said, but then I was able to move slowly and get really close to the fish. And then I opened up my aperture a little bit more, and it really stood out and blurred the background. And here you can see like my first photo. I think I had just taken like some photos of a small nudie, so my f-stop was closed way down. Yeah, f29. And the next photo is f14. And then the photo that I like the best, because again, the background isn't taking away from the subject as much, is F10. I do think that the lighting's a little harsh on it at the F10, so I probably could have clicked back my strobe there. So yeah, it's just you're getting a lot more light with getting closer in the more open f-stop. Okay, the next two videos show me taking pictures, just to kind of show you what that looks like. Let's hope they work. Okay. Oops. Uh-oh. I should get out of the video. All right. Okay, so those videos, the first one I'm showing you, it's more like creating an underwater studio. I have a lot of special effects going on there with like the steel wool, which I did have in one of the photos. And I had the backscatter mini flash angled at it to put some colored light on it. The second one was a friend had taken that. I was actually doing wide angle there, but it one thing that comes into play, it's really great to have good buoyancy when you're taking photos, especially when you have a small subject and a shallow depth of field. You know, if you're in the muck, you can usually like have a muck stick and secure yourself that way. And then the photo you're seeing now is some of the food in Bali. Most of the photos I showed you are from Bali. I absolutely love going there. One of the reasons is the good food. So here I'm showing you some of the smoothie bowls that I love there. Another reason I really love Bali is the people. They are super friendly and fun to be around. Another reason I like it is that you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's very affordable. I do get a private guide, which helps me take time with the subject, try some of the special effects. And then I always end my day at the spa with a massage. So usually for $150 or less a day, I'll do 3 dives with a private guide, get a massage. That includes like the hotel, go to restaurants and eat food. So you just get so much. And you can see so many different things. Like those pictures didn't even touch on the diversity there you can see. And then I believe the next slide is just like a quick video I had made when I went to Bali. It'll show some more creative techniques I used and a little bit of what the shore diving looks like and stuff like that. So I'll just show you that.
Arlequin.
don't use a GoPro, but I just use the app to make that video. Yeah, so that's
Very nice.
the
Very, very
presentation.
nice.
Thank you.
That is a nice technique of, of utilizing both the shooting more wide open and getting closer.
Yeah, and I think it can also, I mean, I think most of us here dive locally. It can be a really useful technique in the waters we dive in here locally between, the visibility and conditions and sandy bottom. It can really be useful.
I noticed you mentioned that you sometimes just pick the background and then wait for something to come. I do the very same thing. If you see a real nice background, all you need is some fish to come in, and that touches it all off. So, yeah.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions I'd like to ask Jessica about? Tuolumben, great spot to dive.
Mhm.
Okay. Then the last part, I'm going to do a thing on Raja Ampat. In February, I was in Raja. Shamefully, I can't find my pictures of the topside. All the topside stuff I have someplace. So I wanted to show you the boat, but I don't have it. So this dive boat called Gaia Love is probably not probably it is the nicest dive boat I've ever been on. And so our trip was 12 days, so it was basically 11 days, 11 days of diving. And I mean, there was all kinds of wonderful things. The place was well equipped, and dive guides were great, and wonderful food, and rooms were nice. For me, the number one thing that was each bay where you put your gear, your mask, and all that stuff, each one had its own private rinse tank. That was worth anything. I'd have given up the meals, the room, and all that just to be able to drop your camera in there, leave it, and not have to worry about another camera coming in. That was priceless. So anyway, so this is Diving with Elvis. And so Raja on this trip for me, and I've been to Raja twice. And for me, it's pretty much wide angle stuff. You can shoot. There's a lot of wonderful macro stuff. Because I remember early on when I first asked a guide on the first trip and said, what should I take? Can you give me a heads up on the dive before we get ready so I'll know, what to prepare for? And they said, doesn't make any difference. And this time it wasn't just a, blowing me off answer. It really didn't make any difference. But because the macro is so outrageous, that's pretty much all I shot. I shot one dive. I shot a 105 macro. Maybe one other shot was a moderate macro zoom. But all the rest of it, 99% was either a fisheye, a 16 millimeter fisheye, or a 17 to 35 zoom wide angle. And I like this lens. I use it a lot because, no matter what lens you go in the water with, you're always going to be wishing that you had another lens instead. But with a zoom, you cover a little more. And I like the idea of having the 35 because if you come upon some moderate size animal, you can shoot it with the 35. If one of the times I'm using a 16 millimeter, you would have to put the lens right on something to be able to get a photograph. So it's really better suited for wide angle scenes. So anyway, when came upon this, was on a a dish of coral in this crinoid. And so what I'm going to do now and what I will do in this presentation is just tell you what I was thinking of trying to make the shot, or how I plan to shoot it. So with this, the things that were in mind, I wanted to shoot up towards so I can get some of the sky. And then the other part is to always be in mind of what the background is. So I was trying to get a diagonal. So I put diagonals in the background in almost everything that I shot because I feel it makes it a little more pleasant to look at. So on this one, this was with the 16 millimeter, and I saw that it was real big down below. And so I went in with my wife here, and so I went down ahead. I know she was going to take a little bit of time clearing her ears, so I shot down ahead so that I could shoot and fill the frame with the Gorgonian, and then get her in the background. The same here. This I would like to have placed her in a different spot, but the fact that the butterfly fish were spending a little bit of time in the top, I just chose to shoot that. But what I tried to do a lot, and you will see it a lot in this, is that there's a lot of fish in the background. So with this case, I wait for the fish. So I got in down low on this red whip coral and then just waited for the fish to come. Sometimes it's other fish that we'll see in a few minutes that are sort of timid, and you wait for them to come up. But this was just a school coming by, and I just waited for them to come by. But again, trying to shoot so that I'm emphasizing that slope. And with this crinoid, this Gorgonian, it was a cleaning station here, so these tanks were here getting cleaned. But I had to basically put the camera down real low in this area, and so that I could shoot up and get some of the well-lit water and the schools of fish. Schools of fish weren't immediately there, but I just waited for a while. I mean, the anthias they were there kind of immediately, but it's just waiting for the fish to show up. And these are snappers, and it's a lot like when you see the birds in murmuration of a bird where there's millions of them taking all kinds of different shapes. Well, this was the same. So it's just I got lucky and they split into a nice formation. And it's continuing on with these snappers, and then a sweet lips came by. So it was good timing. And this manta, we tried for 3 days to find manta, and they would find them. They would see them on using a drone. We'd get in the water, we wouldn't see any. So I basically saw one at a little bit of a distance, and it was just this one, and it swam over me. So I was blessed that day. So. And mostly to find these mantas, we were diving on seamounts. So their seamounts were probably anywhere from 40 to 60 feet below the surface. And in this case, there were two seamounts separated with a ridge. So all along the ridge was covered with this elephant sponge, and then these branching stalks of sponge. So it was a pretty scene. And I tried different things because with and without divers. So he was one of the guys in our group, and I swam ahead so that I could get, shoot this tubenaria coral and then wait for him to come by. Most of the time I'm at the end, so I don't really get a chance to shoot the divers as much unless it's my wife being very cooperative and helpful. But because at the end, that way I can shoot scenes without divers. So like when this diver passed, then I was able to fill more of the frame with the coral head, and yet at the same time try to get these diagonals from the top, rather than if I cut it off, then you wouldn't see it as well. So this crinoid, I tried two different approaches. One where you see a little bit of a diagonal and more of the general reef scene. And then the next, we're getting closer to it. And so filling the frame more with it, and then shooting this, or having this a larger diagonal. And this was, again, a different type of tubernaria coral. I shot it thinking that it was going to be a disaster because there were all these little silver fish that just, millions of them in front of me. And I said, well, figured what the hell, I'll just shoot it and see. And I was surprised, pleasantly surprised that it came out. This is a huge coral head. This is probably 8 to 10 feet across. And this was my one dive with a 105. And I haven't, anyone who's real good at identifying nudibranchs, I haven't been able to find this one yet. So if you could let me know at some point, I'd appreciate it. It's some sort of a chromodorid, I think. And this was on our night dive, some jelly. And I left all this, either collection of spots and backscatter, and I left it all in there because it gives it a kind of a space look to it. Either that or it's just rationalizing being lazy and not trying to clean it up. Now the Anthias, they're in huge schools. This is the blue-green Anthias. And they are very timid. They stay a lot by this acropora or antler coral. And so if you approach them, they'll all just tuck in. So you have to wait a little bit. And so with these first came out, and I waited for them initially, and then hoping to get a pattern of the ones in the back. So it's trying to, I don't want to say orchestrate, but just hope that things happen, because this was my one goal, but the sweetener was to get the schools coming by doing something. And there's another this was table coral. And I shot this from below to be able to get more of the shape of it. And so you can see the whole form of what the table coral looks like from underneath. And then also waiting for all the fish to come out. And in Raja, there's just a lot of fish, a lot of small fish here on this Gorgonian. Now, there was a huge area of this cabbage coral. So a lot of it was like what you see in the back, all pretty much the same profile. So I was looking for something that would stand out. And this group right here stood out, was a little bit more prominent. So it made it, number one, easier to have it stand out. And so to light it, I tried lighting it a little bit from the sides to make it pop a little more. And another approach with it, just tried getting real close, sort of fill the frame so you can see more of it. So what I looked for here was to get a bunch of it that was more or less on the same plane. So that way there would be more of it would be initially in focus. And then again, aiming it so that I could get this sort of a mount. And again, with all the fish, it's just waiting, because you approach the area, they're all scatter, and then wait a minute or so, and they all come out, like in this here. But see, the other previous ones show more of the coral. This shows you how the fish are all, a school of fish. but you don't see all the uniqueness or the detail of the coral like the others. That's the first time I'd ever seen a tube sponge growing out of a gorgonian. And this is the best I could do with fish. I held up my breath till I was blue in the face, and then I just waited and waited, and then I just said the heck with it and just took the picture. And this here is showing this is all soft coral, this leather coral, goes all the way up to the undercut of a small island. And so it seems like this were common, and you can see in the background the small fish, but just packed, densely packed with fish. And in some places you get, well, no matter what, I'll show you another one where you see the fish all packed in. So here's this scene of all these fish on a huge field of this a staghorn coral. And I just waited for my wife to come by so she would just slowly come by and take advantage of the sunbeams coming through. Then at the same time, then afterwards, because the fish were almost translucent, I just got a little bit lower to see if I could get the light coming through. All these places, would be nice to be able to go back to the same site, but that's the downside of being on a liveaboard, is that you can't always go back. There's table coral, but from the top with really a marching school of fish. And this one of the reasons for being taking or using the 17 to 35 zoom. So this is it's a large moray. It's called a giant moray, but with any other wide angle, I wouldn't be able to do anything. But the fact that I can zoom into 35, I could get close enough to fill a decent amount of it. And more of this cabbage coral, but this seemed to have be a lighter coral, and it was the rim of white was striking. So I just tried to light just to get all those white lines. This is my first and poor attempt at a split image. I learned one thing that I need to find some way to really float that camera, because I killed myself because it was a part of a regular dive, so it wasn't really a dive to shoot the splits. So I just found this little lagoon, and I try to hold the camera up out of the water and shoot it that way. That really was not. It was not the best way to do it. So, but it was my first and only. And in that same area, it was a very still. The tide was very had stopped. The current stopped, and it was a gap between two islands, and the water was completely still. So what you see on top is the reflection of the coral reef. And I mean, at some point, I probably will try using a little clarity in Lightroom to get more of the definition between that and even this next one. You could see everything, and you could see it in the water when you were diving. You're looking at it; it was just a mirror image of what you saw. It was very exciting dive. And after most of the time, we saw these woebegone sharks. This is probably, I don't know, 4.5 feet, uh, maybe a bit longer. And they were always underneath coral, so you couldn't really get a good shot. You get the face, but this one was lying right on top, so made it a treat. And this many spot sweet lips. Again, this one I also shot from underneath because you could see all of this on top, beneath the table coral, so it made a nice background. We had one day where we saw a lot of these barracuda, schooling barracuda. It was exciting. Unfortunately, the water quality then was pretty poor. It was a kind of a milky color, but it was great to see and be in this school of them. It's probably in about 60, 70 feet. And they just were sort of unfazed. They would split apart when you got near them, but um, so these jacks were pretty much the same thing. So I'd just go down deeper, but you can see the color of the water was sort of a pale. So I tried making it into a black and white, see if it would make it any better. I think it works better as a black and white simply because I can't seem to get the blue very good. Again, my patient wife Candy here, waiting in one spot so not to scare these antheas. So waiting for a little bit, and then the anthea slowly came up, even with her there. So it was really perfect. Now, this again, this is a cluster of this anthias or antler coral, staghorn rather. In this case, you don't. You just see a lot of fish on top. But in this next one, if you look, you see, I don't know how well you can see it, but inside all of that brownish color are all fish, just waiting, small fish waiting to come out. Uh, and I waited, but they were waiting longer. So I never really got them to come out. I was hoping to have that school slowly come out and combine that with what's on top. But all of this, there were just hundreds and hundreds of them. And it's near the end of the trip, we went by some of these small piers that you could, they had all kinds of life underneath. And so I was trying to here is just to get down low enough so I could shoot up, get the sky, the pier, and then these silvery fish. This is a common scene in Raja. It's just absolutely packed with life. You see 4 or 5 different species of soft coral, crinoids, sponge. It's really, and then, these antheas hanging around close, and then just schools and schools of fish. Raja is really a fantastic spot. And it's another case where uh, I held my breath as long as I could, and no fish came. Nothing came. I mean, this is it. This is the best I could get with fish. I was hoping that we'd get something coming by. This would be nice, but because without fish in it, um, as divers, we know what it is. But people who don't dive, would not necessarily associate that with a marine life scene. But all you need is a few fish, and that immediately says marine life. And this is our dive guide, Elvis. And so, just like what Juergen had mentioned, where in that resort they rotated the dive guides. We also had our dive guides rotating all the time, but we started off with and very often had Elvis. So it was the first time I ever went diving with Elvis. And a gigantic gorgonians. I mean, this was probably I don't know, 8, 10 feet, just gigantic. Um, and I got lucky enough early on, so I ran out of luck here and got no fish here on this. But again, it's a typical scene, just where all of these fish normally you don't see. They're all tucked into here. If you get close, as soon as you take your time, hold your breath, and they all come out um, to hover above. This is similar to an area coral that I saw earlier that had a lot of fish, and this just had a few, but It's one that I'm pleased with. It's the one I like the most of the trip, just because it has, great lines through here and then scattered all through with a lot of fish. So, but if you have not been to Raja, that's a place I put on your list, and it is the same as what Juergen had said, going to Ambon. You fly to Jakarta and then you make one flight to Sarong, and then the boat picks you up. So it's a good spot. So anyway, that's Raja, or that's diving with Elvis. So um, if I can answer any questions, if there are any, I'll be glad to.
Andy, did you get any chance to do night dives on the trip?
We did. And Greg, the first time I went to Raja, well, it was Greg. We were on the Pinto. We did some night dives. Um, where we were, the night dives weren't that good. So I think I made two. Normally I'd like to do more, but it just wasn't it wasn't that great, because when we would make the last dive and then they would say, well, we're going to dive here for the night dive. Eh, it wasn't great. So I kind of passed on those.
I imagine that doing wide angle at nighttime isn't that all that feasible, because you're trying to light up a bigger area and it probably doesn't work as well. Is that right?
Yeah, for me anyway. I know, but it depends on what you have for subjects. But yeah, I generally at night try to go either macro, or I have a lens that's it's a macro zoom. It's from 35 millimeter to 85, so it gives me a nice range of macro, and I use that a lot at night. So that would be a typical nighttime lens.
Thank you.
Yep.
Andy, there was one question in the chat. Did you use an angled viewfinder for those wide angle upward shots?
No, I just stuck my face in the coral. No, I don't have the angle one. I just have the straight. I mean, that's one place that the angle viewfinder would be terrific, but um, I've never used one, and I know that there's
You
a
can
bit
do
of
that.
a
I
learning
never
curve.
could.
Huh? Pardon me? Nope. Well, there's a bit of a learning curve using that, and so I've never got one. So, but shooting stuff on the bottom, or if you say, for example, like even putting your camera flat on say on the sand, if you got a fish, like say a flounder or something, that you want to get a head-on shot with it, yeah, that 45 viewfinder would be perfect, no better than putting your head in the sand. So, okay, well. If you on the chat, but if you could, those of you that have cephalopods that you'd like to share, let me know, and then I'll be in contact with you and tell you what to do for sizing and all that. So, um, again, it can be from around here, some of our squid or octopus or whatever. But any cephalopod would be terrific. So, all right. Well, um, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and look forward to Cephalopod July. So, and, oh, one more thing is that if you could get, I don't know if I mentioned this, if you get me the images by July 20th, so that way I get a chance to put them all together. And it just makes it a lot easier. So again, um, I'll can talk to you individually or as a group about the how to send them and all that stuff. So just get on there, and if you don't mention it to me tonight, then email or text me or Whitney that you would like to take part. Love to have more people.
There's 4 great presentations tonight. This was excellent.
Yeah, well, it was a great night.
Yeah.
It was a good night.
Really outstanding.
And so, Edmund, Juergen, Jessica, thank you. Thanks for making it visually exciting and beautiful. So look forward to more. Do you have any video, Edmund, of octopus? No, you do. All right then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so I will see you in July. Again, thanks again, everyone.